This is iRacing.
For the AM category.
He's got the plate. Goes Attic over. Matt Hedel. So Adnan looks at it.
Well, a season now that finds itself at its critical point, the championship finale. Just 50 minutes remain in terms of making this season a reality of a championship for those who need it. But there is still one final point that needs to be discussed. As far as pros go, Pro Championship is looking for the top 5 to sort itself out for prize money. Those in AM, a title still to be decided. Welcome to probably the least run layout of all of the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya circuits. It's the Moto layout to finish off the championship here in this wonderful Montemelo track. My name's Shakespeare. Craig King is alongside me for today's championship finale action, with Christian Deploy in the director's chair using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But over to this Barcelona circuit, which has been a dyno test of a track for many, and for loads of drivers out there, they know this is a tough 50 minutes that they will battle with. Let's take a look at what makes this circuit tick with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get a pass done. After that, your next hope might be into La Caixa, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day.
So, as far as it goes now, this Barcelona circuit has been one of the toughest out there to go and get correct. A 16-turn monster, but that chicane is very early on the flick through 13. So, you're sitting down at New Holland, you've got that chicane to get into play, and there are no anti-cut curbs over it, Craig. So, it's all about how aggressive do you feel?
And the drivers in practice have been practicing just how much they can push the envelope on that track, just with the fact that it's a very weird layout. Last time this layout was used was 2017. That's where we go into the stats, and we're trying to find out if we're wrong, but we're pretty much right here. But you just look as well at this track, a lot of elevation changes in the middle of the track. You're going uphill at Repsol. You're going downhill at turn 5, which used to be called CET. Then you're going back up the hill as you get around to turn 9 at Cancer for the long run to the Cates here. And not only is it the fact that we're using a early chicane here, the rack chicane at 13, 14, 15, we're using the old style hairpin at the Cates here at 10, which means it's a straight line with a very quick kink to get yourself up the Bank Sabadell at turn 12.
La Caixa is that corner that once again proves it is going to be a critical passing point with the way that it runs through an older scan of this circuit, and rather than the new, slightly more adapted level of curve that is there around turn number 10. It's probably one of the most profile corners in all of motorsport history. But let's go talk championships now, because there's going to be some critical points to keep in mind at the final stage of this season. We know that Adnan Grozdanic, with the one drop round available, has the title under lock and key. We'll need Matt Kendall to score about 130 odd points to take that away. There's not much that you can do about that. Matt Kendall will be short in that regard. The questions we'll be asking, though, is it going to be him or Ade Koba who finishes off in second? No Hamed Almases today, so he could potentially gift Giuseppe Milo and Adrian Borowski their chance to get themselves the prizes of 4th and 5th out there, with an outside shot for Henry Mackenzie Friedman to pick up that role as well down there in 8th place, with no Lars Fischer here today. You've got Justin Hodge, who is 9th, and Michael Chase, who rounds out the top 10 in pro standings. Am, though, is still technically alive for 4 drivers out there, 3 of whom who are here today. So Elijah White is out of the picture, Craig. But for Adrian Lugnot, for Jake Ratcliffe, and for Braden Hope, they know that their championship hangs on a thread.
And it's a very good thread. And of course, the key thing here, if it goes to tiebreaker, it's best result, which Adrian Luino has the advantage there with a P9 in the series. So the name of the game today, if you're Jake Ratcliffe, is you have to beat Luino, and you have to beat him by a couple positions. He basically needs to get about 7 points ahead there of Luino, which could be very interesting. He needs to make sure he gets some good places. The only way that Luino can confirm it himself in the championship, he would need to be P2, which anything can happen. You never know, but it is tough for an amateur to be running in the top 5 here today. So the key thing today will be those two. Braden Hope has an outside chance. You could say he needs a little bit of hope out there, but I think it's just going to be between the top 2 drivers today.
So, if it's a game of Lugnot versus Ratcliffe, it's a case of where does the title go? Does it go over to France, or does it cross over the River Severn and the English Channel, by the way, over towards the likes of Wales? So that's going to be where we start asking those questions out there. But for those who are brand new, who are just tuning in with us for the first time, it is the final round, and they have split up this season into 4 sprints and 4 endurances, and this, the last of the rounds, being an endurance. It's a 50-minute race, and they do have to make at least 1 pit stop over the course of this run. They are set to a fixed setup, so they'll be all running identical to baseline out there, so it is as standard as it can possibly get. And you've only got 1 spare car available, so if you do break it, you do have a spare, but you don't want to be using that too early on in a race like this. So drivers know that their behavior is set, and they are ready to get themselves sorted with qualifying currently underway, Craig. But what they will also know, long laps around this place, over 2 minutes in length. So it means that at most, we should be expecting 24 laps of racing action if everything all plays ball.
And that's going to be a crucial thing when it comes to tires, because some drivers may look to take 2 tires, in other words, one-sided tires, but it's going to be quite warm later as the race goes on. Qualifying a little bit colder right now, 21 Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit for the Americans out there. But at the end of the day, you get to this section here on where Grozdanic is, and this is the rack chicane. There's no sausage curves. Cut it as much as you want. But that also means if you are cutting it as much as you want, you have to just rely on the fact that you need to save the tires. That's going to be a crucial factor today. So we've not had to talk about all season, Jake.
Let's go straight line and focus here. Adnan, of course, I think has a few ticks about him as he goes about on circuit to keep himself occupied as he goes on through, repping the Super Mario helmet into turn number 1 out there, and really having to fight the curves through the chicane before rushing about through the long turn number 3. They know that as they exit this big long corner, that it's turn 4, the most important corner, or one of the most important braking zones out there to get sorted. You jam on the brakes, you carry the momentum through, and this sets you up for the mid-stage of the lap in these slower powered machinery MX5s, with so much of this car built around balance and control. It's these long corners that are testing you under braking. How much control do you have down the hill into turn 5?
Yeah, you need to make sure you don't go too wide there on the exit as well. And this is the car that you need to really also just work on that weight balance. You'll start to see the rear just going out a little bit as they go up the hill here. And now, how much speed do you want to keep as you come through this high-speed corner? And it is really a high-speed corner. And they're not using that runoff there as an alternate layout. It is just the classic layout to the long straight. And there you go, Adnan. I was waiting for you to do a little bit of dancing in the seat. And now comes to the hard hairpin there at the Katia. And now here it comes to the final part of the track here, Jay. Not like the modern day, because when he comes around the next corner, he has to then slow down once again instead of a straight line to the final corner.
Yeah, so when you have to hit the brakes, you are making sure that on this run, you're able to flick it through this chicane, carry the momentum, because the car is going to want to try and snap away at any given point. A number of AMs here today, 5 AMs there to the 10 pros. They're out there and racing, and Matt Kendall currently quickest on a 202.9, and so a 202.8 crosses the line for Adnan Grozdanic, fastest by 800ths, but I wonder here on second laps if anyone's going to have anything, not because of the temperature, but just on the general wear around what is a high-deg circuit.
Yeah, well, we see Adrian Luino currently leading the amateurs, and that is the key thing as well, the degradation. A lot of the track they've been to this season have a lot of cambered corners. Not a lot of cambering on these corners here, not a lot of grooves for the car to go into. It's flat, and it's one of the reasons that the F1 team, this used to be a test base for the pre-season testing for the F1, and they just love it. It's just a mixture of the flat corners, the flat track, the mid to high-speed corners, then slow it down at turn 10. A lot of the teams love it, and that's why you also get a little bit of boring racing in the F1 here. However, for Adrian Luino and Ade Koba, no boring here. What does Koba have? He'd love to get past Matt Kendall. He has to find himself just about 200ths if he wants to do it. Cool, calm, and collected once again, Jay. I don't think we'll see any reaction out this man's face all season.
No, this is a home soil circuit for the Simify esports driver. It's the home circuit for the team as well. The man from the Gran Canaria is then working through the chicane. You can see how much work he's had to do on the steering wheel, and he actually hops over the anti-cut curves, which aren't, I would say, flat. They're actually more like trapezoids out there as they work themselves on towards the line. Koba with a 203 flat was trying to take everything out the lap. Not good enough to go and gain a little bit more. The likes of Scriffignano on his first lap, and there the 73 of Per Sandberg now looking to try and run for the line with just 3 minutes and a quarter left on the clock. It is a short run to that line, and a 204 doesn't get the job done behind him. The likes of Braden Hope was looking for a time of 5-1, not getting the job done. So still waiting on drivers like this driver here in the Kitty Cat car, Philip Scriffignano, hoping for a time on the second of 2 attempts.
Yeah, also waiting to see what Henry Mackenzie Friedman does, and Lars Ulrich as well. Last of the drivers to set some times as Philip comes across. You talked about that anti-cut curve there at the exit of turn 15, the chicane. That's designed for the slower F1 chicane there to really just make sure you don't go a bit too wide like Philip's going right now. But with the way it's set up on this sort of corner, on this sort of chicane we're running today, it actually is a hindrance because the drivers, they want to go a little bit wider because of the speed they carry. You basically remove the sausage curves from the inside, and then you've got that long sausage curve right at the end. And I don't know if you want to call it a name, though, Jake. It's flat. We could call it a fry because it does look like a very long piece of French fries.
French fries in Spain. Oh, I wouldn't say that's the best place to find them out there, but at least for the moment, we know that there is time to be had for Philip Scriffignano, and with the way that things are going, Henry Mackenzie Friedman is not in server, so will not be taking to the start today. And looking around, Lars Orish here, the Australian driver, is not out there able to set a time, so it will mean that Scriffignano is going to be the last driver over the line, and this is going to be important in terms of talking points and bonus points. Each driver in their respective class gets 1 bonus point in the back pocket. That is an extra 1 for Jake Ratcliffe then, who will take the AM points he needs from 6 down to 5 if things were to stay as they are. Scriffignano with a 204.7, good enough to go 11th fastest overall in the number 33 machine is the German, and so that will cleanse the field out in terms of their qualifying effort. Drivers like Braden Hope trying to get some last-minute qualifying in right now, just practice around the circuit to feel up-to-date and comfortable with the efforts around there. Some drivers elect to try and run all of qualifying, others choose otherwise to just say, I've done my 2 laps and there's nothing to worry about. I'm looking around as well. Adrian Lunio must have blown an engine or something as he crossed the line in the number 46 Miata, out there with 0.9 of a second to the pole time. But still, a really close qualifying through your top 3, Craig, and I would say job needed to be done by Jake Ratcliffe there in qualifying.
That just changes the complexion because he got that point for the pole position, and that helps him now. He doesn't need to be too worried about what Lunio does because now he can just focus because beside him will be Per Sandberg. That's something that's going to help him. Having a pro mixing with the AMs, that's going to be just up his street, but they got to get through turn 1 first of all. We all know how dangerous turn 1's been in this series.
Let's take a look then as we move on into some evening conditions out there for racing right now. Adnan Grozdanic will have the pole position on a 202.852. Matt Kendall, who is his nearest rival for the championship, is alongside it. Then follows with Ade Koba and Giuseppe Milo. Michael Chase and Charles Wolfe will have 5th and 6th positions. Your AM leader, Jake Ratcliffe, is in 7th and will be gunning for a career best and season best out there, as he knows he's only got to beat by 6. And right now, knowing that the position he's in is actually down to 5, and critically, if there's 2 positions between him and Adrian Lunio, he would take the win by 1 championship point. Per Sandberg in 8th, Adrian Lunio in 9th, and Adrian Borowski will be going from 10th.
Well, that just gives me a chance to just have a very short second page. Philip Scriffignano will be in 11th with Braden Hope in 12th, followed by Jorge Diaz in 13th. And Lars Ulrich, it does say 15th. He will officially be 14th. Henry Mackenzie Friedman is not in the server. Did start in the server. I think he just tried to get some photo shots out there and forgot where to go. It's a small field today. The sun is down. The track temp has dropped as well. That's going to be very interesting out there, and there's that chicane. I can't get enough of seeing it. I'm so glad they got rid of it, Jake.
Well, some people love it and some people don't, and I will say it did disrupt the flow of racing for a very long time out there on this track, and it sort of felt like a quick add-on to stop cars from having a massive issue out there around this circuit to keep its FIA Grade 1 status. And then when the safety of this circuit improved in terms of the technology and advancements that came along, the likes of Tech Pro barriers, for example, rather than the Armco barrier that you see, or tyres around the outside of the circuit, that section of the circuit then became the more natural flowing end of the run. So it's going to be formation zone immediately into play for these drivers because they're on a short formation lap here today, and so we're going to get underway very, very quickly. In sim time just after 5 o'clock, and with a sim time date of November 30th, it means that we could be seeing ourselves heading to nightfall by the end of this run. Pace car dives down in, and so Adnan Grozdanic, the champion-elect, will have control of the field. Everybody will sit and get themselves ready. They have to wait for the drop of the green flag to get themselves underway and racing, and whoever's alert to it the best has one of the longest runs in this one. Green flag drops, and we are underway, and it's very much a case of Talladega Nights. Ade Kober's going to thread the middle here and go 3 wide as they make the run down towards turn number 1 out on circuit of Elf Corner. And who is going to be the bravest on the brakes? It is El Capitan who gets that done. Kendall to the inside, looking for the progress too, and is going to manage to now work around the outside of turn 3 at Renault, and now hoping for a good launch now across this. Milo's had a great start as well. Per Sandberg all the way up to 5th. Ratcliffe now back to 9th, but still with clearance on Lunio.
Yeah, Lunio's gone down 1, Ratcliffe's gone down 2, and that's all because of Borowski going up 2 places. And it's a really good start there. Ade using that long straight to his advantage. We almost went 4 wide. And Charles Wolfe heading on down into turn 5. He will go. And that's interesting, though, just the way they just started to fan out a little bit. Side by side, it is doable. A little bit treacherous here at TV3 as they go through turn 7. Great run here from Charles, almost losing the car. And now you get to the straight. And in this long race here, you want to be working together. You don't want this elastic band to snap right away, because the more cars helping you all save fuel, the better it's going to be when you come to your final stop.
Yeah, they have to remember here today that they do not have a full fuel tank available to them as far as this one goes. So they are going to be trying to do what they can to get the car to do exactly what it needs to out there as they work up through the long right of Bank Sabadell. And now, correct myself there, in towards, then that next section was Bank Sabadell, now through Eurocar and the Rack Chicane. Top 3 have got themselves a gap. Giuseppe Milo's trying to hold on, but that gap is 7/10 of a second, and the whole straight will need to be used to try and get close. And as that's happening, that's Adrian Lunio pulling out alongside his nearest rival, Jake Ratcliffe, for position here. So with these drivers knowing that their drops aren't going to be found today with how few drivers there are, it's now just about how many points can I score. On the brakes then, into the first corner of Elf again, and it's held on the outside by the Welshman.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right play to go for an overtake this early from Luino. You just want to just hold it there and work together, get to that pit stop, see what strategies are in place, and if you're behind Ratcliffe, you might be able to save some fuel, just like you're going to see with Grosdanek. Going to be saving some fuel out there today, and just hoping that that allows him to maybe go an extra lap, or maybe not use the fuel the way the front cars will drive it. If they've got the advantage, if they've got the overspeed, make the overtake to be safe. Don't want to be sending anything right now as they go through the fire and the flames. And Grosdanek, that looks like a little bit of a broken front there. I don't know what he's been doing, but I think he wants to make sure he's not kissing Santa Claus under the Mazda.
No, it looks like that car has had a little bit of a bump to it, and he's been slightly too aggressive as he's gone through at the start of this race. So that will affect the flow. It will affect his ability to save fuel, but I don't think it will do masses as they all start checking up down into the hairpin. They have all kept themselves in line. 13 drivers in a row. It's lucky for some out there. Lars Ulrich is 8 seconds off the back, having elected to start this race from pit lane. So this is a case of everybody's in the train. Everyone's got a chance. They've just got to hold that pace. It's now Per Sandberg who's got the responsibility of chasing through this chicane and hoping it's going to work. Scriffignano in the back a little bit wide, but now as they go on to the front, this is where you play this eternal game here, Craig, of stick or twist. Do you want to go and make this move, or do you not? Adnan says, yeah, go on, I will.
Yeah, and Matt Kendall decides, you know what? You're going to give me the run? I'm going to just say hello as well. And he'll try to go side by side with Ade Cobra. And they do have a little bit of a coming together there, just a bit of hard racing. If they stay side by side for too long, they're going to be losing out to Grosdanek here. Lasted band may start to snap, but they get it all in check. And I just see Giuseppe Milo there for a moment, looking like he wanted to make the move. Wide for Kendall. Does that allow Cobra to make a move? No. But this is interesting as well because we see the headlights. You talked about the sun coming down. You notice that the artificial lighting is now starting to play a little bit of effect here. Could be interesting as we go later into the race, because that means braking points will start to change for what you can see as Sandberg goes a little bit wide as Charles Wolf makes some moves.
Up to the top 5 goes Charles Wolf. I also want to point out here, Craig, look who's got the fastest lap of the race. It's Jake Ratcliffe. Now, for those who don't understand why that's important right now, the fastest lap gives a bonus point.
So that would make that what was meant to be 6 points down to 5. He had the pole position, be down to 4 if he keeps that. But you got to remember the amateur drivers are racing a little bit harder as Sandberg trying to look for some moves and may have just forced, he's forced Chase a little bit wide there. And this is going to be a side-by-side going up the hill, up into bumps over there very shortly. But it could be interesting. Ratcliffe, the early fastest lap here, Jake. They do have a chance to use the fuel. And Lunio decides, I can't wait anymore. He puts himself into championship lead.
Yep, into position now, making a good move. It hasn't got all slowdown, big slowdown off the exit there for Per Sandberg. That's going to shake up the field then as he worked through the chicane. He was too aggressive on the inside. He immediately had to pull over to the right-hand side and go through. And there was a check-up from Michael Chase. He wasn't too sure how that was going to go because he himself had a slowdown penalty, did Michael Chase, and he's serving it now on the back stretch, and through is going to go absolutely everyone, every man, woman and child dives down the inside there. And so you look around at that and say, that's the penalty of an early slowdown. All the track position is gone, and suddenly it's 6 to the front, and it's Lunio who's been given effectively the goodbye notice at 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, the only problem is that now Lunio will be leading a pack, and we remember what happened when he led at VIR. He led the second race at VIR, and it didn't really go his way. He got a little bit swallowed up, so different situation here, but he does have that advantage. And I always joke, Jake, that we never slow down. That's all right, I can save some fuel doing that. But Michael just got straight onto straight onto the brakes. Very unconventional way here, but what it does mean, top 6 now on their own, battling all up together here, but here they are. And we come to that question, Jake, who hits first? When do they pit first? And we've said it all season, we expected some teamwork. There's been no teamwork whatsoever this season, so my money is on Kendall being the last to pit, Koba being the first to pit, and Grosdanek being the meet in the middle.
It's a question of when rather than if. It's a question of when's the right time to break the group apart, because you will have drivers out there who are active at the front of this field, Craig, but then you have, very much like when you have a celebrity and they bring their entourage along, you've got hangers-on. And those hangers-on that group, if they're just saving, not doing anything, you just want to get rid of them as quickly as you can. Matt Kendall goes to the bump draft then as he pushes through. Borowski now with the fastest lap check mark next to his name. And Michael Chase is down in pit lane. So he is the first driver to come in and make that call for a stop incredibly early.
I wonder, actually. I think that's a penalty he's serving. We'll wait and see, because I think he may not have served his slowdown in time. But one to keep our eyes on later on, and that just goes to show, yeah, he's out straight away, and even now, still nothing on the scoreboard. That to me says Michael Chase had to serve a black flag more than anything.
So. Because the front of his car has been repaired. He's used the fast repair available to him. So I think maybe, Craig, that's just, I'm that far back, I might as well have a car that works.
And at the same time, let's try and get a bonus point for having a clean race, because that's something else that the drivers have. Let's have a clean race. Let's finish the season and join Lars Ulrich in having a clean race while he's back there getting ready for the Ashes. He's just going to be enjoying a clean race. But Borowski, this is the man that's interesting, because you look at Wolf, you look at Borowski, they're the stragglers, they're the hangers-on. They can't affect the championship. They can affect the result of this race, however, though, And if they pit a little bit early, they may just mix everybody up when the leaders come into the pits.
Very much looks like a comic book livery there from Charles Wolfe, the way that it's embossed, by the way that it's painted around all the lettering out there on the livery. You know that Borowski is aiming for a top 5 in the championship, would currently get it on pace and form at this moment behind Giuseppe Milo. So there's everything to pick up. The anti-cut curb pretty much unsettles the work done there by Charles Wolfe, and now this opens up the chance, but this is where slipstream's important, because you'll get it off the car in front of you and the car in front of that and the car in front of that, and so everyone is starting to pick up a little bit of slipstream along this main straight, working towards turn number 1 again of Elf down the inside. Thank you very much, says Ade Koba, who moves back into that second position and will be comfortable with that work. They have dropped then Lunio and Ratcliffe, with the next group being Sandberg, Scriffignano and Braden Hope.
So now we've got the two AM battlers side by side battling each other on the field. And I think that helps Lunio more than it helps Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe needs the help. He needs to be with these guys, but he's nowhere to be found. 2.7 seconds now, the gap between Lunio and Borowski. So these guys, if they just continue on, they are what he needs. What he's got right now is no one. He may need to hope that Sandberg comes in. Maybe Scriffignano, maybe Hope. But right now, for the amateur battle, it's now turned into a legitimate well, not horse because they're Mazdas, but 2-car race.
At this point, Craig, if you were in Jake Ratcliffe's ear right now, would you be telling him to try and send it up the inside anywhere you can on Adrian Lunio to slow this group down?
You know what? That's an interesting way of looking at things. I think you've got to try and force an issue here. And we always talk about you don't want to go side by side. But if you can get a good run through the first corner at Elf, maybe keep it side by side through Renault at turn 3, might be able to work for him. He may need help here. May need, again, I used the pun without intention, may need a bit of hope here from Braden, that maybe he can come up here with Scriffignano, Sandberg as well. If they can just get back in that slipstream, would help. But I feel Ratcliffe's too far away to even look at that issue right now, Jake. I feel like he needs to actually get up to Lunio, and he doesn't look comfortable around here. I say that. He was half a second faster last time out. This time out, he's a tenth slower.
Per Sandberg's going to be the biggest help as side by side goes Scriffignano along with Braden Hope. Braden then in the US car is going to make that pass quite nicely actually into turn number 1. A nice comfortable run. It's cold today. He's in a jumper. He's normally a driver who's very comfortable in a t-shirt, so you know that where he lives right now in the United States, if Braden Hope is not in a t-shirt, it is cold.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking at the temperatures when it comes to Fahrenheit, and let's just say we're looking at some minus numbers when you go to Celsius. I think the wind chill's been throwing it down to about minus 15, so does really work, but in more positions. Is there positions going here? Kendall maybe looking to try and get ahead there at Adekoba. Not able to, but again, look at him. Look how just calm he is. I've never seen a man drive a Mazda and drive him so calm, and a little bit wide there. I saw that from Grosdanek using the curb, and that's another good thing about this car, Jake. You've got anti-cut curbs here. The Mazdas are so high up, they just eat the curbs for lunch.
They do, and you can almost straddle some of them, which are built for cars that are a little bit more highly strung than these ones, and anti-cut curbs are also built to protect various elements of the circuit as well, so keep that in mind as they go around this track, that if they do pick up an area of circuit where you've got a random anti-cut curb followed by grass on the other side, it is actually there to try and protect the grass. As we watch Adekoba happy to sit in second, had a couple looks actually at turn 4 on this 7th lap of racing to try and get the move done on Adnan Grosdanic, because as we know, Craig, Adekoba loves to lead from the front, and that unfortunately is what Adnan has done all season.
Yeah, he's not had a chance, and when he has had a chance, Grosdanic has been the aggressor, and you can just see he gets the overspeed here. I thought he would have lifted here, but nope, he trusts. And let's just see if he looks over. He doesn't even need to look over. He blocks the line there. Grosdanic looking to flow out of turn 2 there. No line for him there. He had to just back up. In fact, it was such a mistake there. Grosdanic, he's had to take a slow down, and he's lost a lot of positions here. He's now behind Giuseppe Milo, and we know what Grosdanic can do. But why does Grosdanic always have to make it? Yeah, why does he have to make this hard for himself, Jake? He does this every week.
Well, he's still trying to get rid of it here, and if he's not careful and he doesn't serve it within 40 seconds, he will get a penalty. It is now finally served heading down into Seat corner turn 5, so it's a case of just enough done by Adnan Grosdanic. He's back into rhythm then in 4th place, but that's the thing with Adnan. He doesn't have a race where it's just all calm on the front. He has a race where, because of his nature, because of the quirky way that he drives, there are times where he gets himself into trouble. That's why a couple years ago, when we were talking about the MX5 World Sim Series, for example, Adnan was possibly the greatest driver in that series never to pick up a win.
And you look at how he's been dominated this season, you would not think that he was a man that could not get a win. Was always the bridesmaid and not the groom. But for the bridesmaid, not the groom, you get what I'm trying to say there. But now he's really just picked up there, really started to just get the hyper focus. And, you know, it's interesting. One of the things, when the series first started, the endurance race, we had the fuel issues at Zandvoort. He turned around to the drivers, not cocky, but he said, some of you drivers are talking about this right now with pit stops. Kendall's in. He said to the drivers, I don't think some of you know how to drive on the production car challenge fuel. He's been showing it. That's where he cuts his teeth. And this is where he gets to really work out the kinks here. But Borowski right behind him, he might look for this. He doesn't. Grosdanic does not pit. And did I say Kendall was going to be the first to pit? I think I did.
So Matt Kendall's first in. He'll go down the boxes all the way down to the penultimate box out there. He will get his service sorted, and maybe a couple sets of left-hand side tyres would be useful as well before running back out and away again. I am curious to see where he comes out in comparison to Michael Chase, and that answer is going to be a few seconds down the road as Grosdanic now trying to angle for that pass on Giuseppe Milo here, the Italian, not going to find it as they all jam on the brakes down into Seat, but Matt Kendall on his own. Now, I'm not too confident if I'm Matt Kendall and I'm on my own out there on track. Normally, you want someone to come in with you. He had nobody to come by around with.
No one to come by around, and he didn't take tyres either. So that's going to be interesting for the end of the race. I know it's a cold track, but it's a track with so many twists and turns. The tyres will be screaming out for help. I tell you, man, we just saw Lars Ulrich there. The sun's starting to come up in Australia, so that's good to see. Good on you, mate. But we see another move. Good on you, mate. Grosdanic just caught Milo there napping, and Giuseppe wanted to go and try and counter there with late braking. He couldn't because Gary Koba was right there. And just like that, Grosdanic, with a little cheeky smile, knows he got away with one there.
Yep, and got back up to second position without too many worries. The profile of that corner is one of the most treacherous out there because it's such a wide apex entry in, and the corner closes off so quickly there, Craig. I believe the one bike rider I remember who seems to not like that corner more than anyone else, he just so happens to be 46. Valentino Rossi's 46, same number as Adrian Lunia, who's currently winning.
Valet, you know, what did he ever do in racing? You know, what was he ever won?
Just the many titles that he had.
Just a few. I'll tell you what would be interesting, because I think he's also managed to drive a GT3 around here. So I wonder how he feels about that corner now. He couldn't get it down on a bike, but he can get it down on a GT3 like these drivers. And I did see Grosdanic, and I think we did catch it. He was giving a little bit of a bump draft there as Per Sandberg came into the pit, and he's going to be behind Matt Kendall. In fact, I think Kendall may have short fuel, or Sandberg is just decided to just park the car up a little bit longer because he hasn't come out of his box yet. So keep your eyes on that one as the light continues to fade here, Jake. And we started this race with the headlights doing some work. Now they're starting to do a lot of work out here.
Yeah, those headlights, because of this circuit not having many or much lighting around it, you've only got small spotlight on some of the catch fencing that is out there around this track. You are very, very reliant on your headlights to give you all the information necessary. And you watch here with Adekoba at the half hour to go mark here in this race, and he will be happy with the work that is being done. He'll be happy that he has found himself with a good opportunity. We've also had in the pits, by the way, Per Sandberg. He's come out right at the very back of the field, and I can only think that he took tyres or forgot to tick them all off, because he's got all 4 tyres there that are brand new on it, as Adekoba works into the chicane, does take away the opportunity to chuck it down the inside at this chicane with how quickly it arrives.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed with the drivers is some of them, they've been carrying so much speed at Europe car that they think they can get the run into that chicane, and you can't. But furthermore, even if it was the old chicane, the standard chicane, I don't think you'd be able to even look at making a send in that. And yes, you could in the Mazdas. They're a little bit smaller, a little bit more nimble. We know what Mazdas can do around a tight track, but it does make me wonder. Now, Braden Hope's into the pits. This is interesting. One of the first AM drivers to jump into the pits. I know he's a bit far away, though, Jake. However, that could be a sign for the other AM drivers that maybe now's the time.
Charles Wolfe off the road and pulling it over to one side, and that will be that for Charles Wolfe. I'm not quite sure how that's all gone about, but ultimately that is a day done for the United States driver. So as that goes about, back down into the pits, you look around and say, what does that mean? Well, Jake Ratcliffe was trying to get as much help as possible, and at least on this, Adrian Lugnio here, sat in the middle of all of this, is going to be very happy being in 5th with the driver behind him, Ratcliffe, in 6th. Still focusing on your top 4, yet to make that stop. I would also keep an eye out on what lap times are being done, because Adekoba did a 2:03.6 on that last lap. Matt Kendall, his first full flying lap, just so happened to be, Craig, a 2:03.6.
Yeah, and that just goes to show that he's not lifting for fuel, and I wouldn't be surprised if these two aren't lifting for fuel and fuel saving. I'm also wondering if that's what Ratcliffe's plan is in the amateur battle. Maybe if he does a little bit of fuel saving, maybe that he had to not put as much fuel in for the pit stop. That might be his plan to try and jump Lugnio. Here we go into the chicane. And remember, it's such an early pit lane entrance here. You have to start thinking about it right now. Nobody blinks at the moment, which is quite interesting with 27 minutes and some change left to go. I was expecting a pit stop there.
I think you've got to realise that they're probably eyeing up halfway as the best time to make that stop. And as this group sits and waits, that's a big lift off there. That's a lot of Lyco from Adnan Grozdanic. They are in the tank and playing this game, and they are playing it beautifully at this moment. Matt Kendall can be very light-footed out there with his right foot, and he'll be looking at the numbers, and they've done very well at the team to make sure that they have been trying to get these numbers all sorted. He would have gone, this is the earliest I can go and make sure that I can still hit my mark and hit my numbers. Most people will look at filling a tank up to full and pitting as late as possible. It is the quote-unquote quickest way.
It's the quickest way, but it's also the quickest way to basically just put in quick laps all the time. To finish first, you got to be fast at the end of the day. So we'll wonder if that works. And if it's me, I'd be looking for the best opportunity. I know you want to work with people, but with the smaller field side today, maybe you just have to accept that it's going to have to be a little bit hell-bent for leather out there. Pit on your own. Try and catch a guy napping, because sometimes some drivers just don't look. But you talked about that Lyco that Grozdanic was doing. It caught Milo out, and we almost had some damage there. And I now start to see Giuseppe taking different lines, as Borowski's gone a little bit too wide there. And it makes me wonder, these two, Milo, Borowski, they're in their own battle, but they're trying not to get caught up here with Grozdanic and Koba, because they know the situation. Well, Grozdanic can't lose the championship, but they know a mistake could cost Koba a little bit of money.
Now, if I were Borowski and I dropped all that time, I'd think about coming down pit road this lap. And in comes Adrian Borowski and Adnan Grozdanic. So they will both make their stop. And so Giuseppe Milo will have to stay with Ade Koba on this run. And there was a risk of dropping in. Perfect scenario for Adnan Grozdanic. Wherever he comes out, Adrian Borowski will be in the wheelhouse to come back in and help. And watch here for that front of the nose to be repaired on Grozdanic's car to take the fast repair.
And pop goes the Weasel. He's got that done. I'm just looking to see if he decides to take any tyres. No tyres. And I don't even think Borowski took tyres. Borowski didn't even take a fast repair. I think he's still got some damage. He's
Borowski
just jumped
him.
Grozdanik. Wow.
Oh, that's a big old call. And look who's going by them on the straight. Bye-bye, Matt Kendall. Grozdanik, look at him. Look at Adnan Grozdanic, the handout, like, how has this just happened? I thought I had this absolutely perfectly planned, and suddenly everyone's gone by me.
Yeah, the moment we went to that camera, great work there, Christian. He was just straight there with wow on his face. And I know sometimes you can't really see facial expressions on a camera, but that's shock. I don't think he was expecting that. I thought that he was able to do some work there as Lars Ulrich comes into the pits. And I did see a little bit of a moment there from Lunio talking there. Where is Jake Ratcliffe? Ratcliffe pitted, by the way. That's another one we did not realize. Jake Ratcliffe in the amateur battle. He's also pitted.
Yeah, so big call by him. Come in, get some big laps sorted, and try and sort this out as necessary. Adrian Lunio will be alert to that and trying to find each and every single time that he can. But Lunio on that lap, I believe, picked up a slowdown penalty. So he's had to serve that, and it's cost him time. But now you start sitting here with Ade Koba and Giuseppe Milo. Grozdanic has got to the back of Borowski, but Matt Kendall is down the road by nearly 3 seconds, and Kendall can pick a tiny bit of fuel from Jorge Diaz. But in comes Koba, followed by Milo in for this pit stop. Lunio is going to stay out longer and take a lap in the race lead. We'll see what Scriffignano will do, as well as Diaz. Because of where Matt Kendall wants to be in this picture, Lunio leads outright.
Yeah, and I think that's good because I think he may also know that Ratcliffe took a long time in the pit. Maybe Ratcliffe took 2 tyres, and that may help. There's Lunio as well. Just looking at where Kendall is. Kendall's about to overtake everybody. Jorge Diaz comes in. Kendall is going to just get the lead. In fact, there's Giuseppe Milo, who comes out ahead, and there's Ade Koba, and Koba, he is just going to retake that lead. That's a great call. What happened to Grozdanic? He was right behind Koba. How has he lost all this time?
Well, he took longer in the stop, and so he knows that with that slightly longer stop, trying to hit a number, that he is going to be a little bit more troublesome. We talk about that damage. He needed to take more fuel. Here comes Matt Kendall to the inside for the net race lead. This for third on circuit. Big opening of the steering wheel there from Ade Koba. Had to leave the room to Matt Kendall. And so that movement, those reflexes were very much needed. You can have those sorts of reflexes on a Formula-style rim.
Yeah, remember, this is a fixed setup, but that really did feel like that was a lot of understeer going up Repsol. And I wonder if that just cost him a little bit as well, because he did have to give the room, but the moment he just went to the middle of the track where that, remember, Repsol's a little bit uphill there. I wonder if that just caught him out a little bit there. The understeer just kicked in, lost him some time because he wanted to be right behind coming into Seat. Unable to, and Borowski, he's trying to do what Grozdanic did to him last time as they come here to the gates here. Nothing yet, but look at that. Grozdanic once again is caught up to the back there, and I wonder, has he had to use a little bit more fuel than he wanted to?
Well, he's done the hard work. He has got himself onto the rear of Koba and Kendall. Now he's just got to sit and wait and find the right time to make these decisions. Lunio stays out again. Scriffignano, though, is going to take pit lane. And then there was one out there at the front of this field. So that's the difference maker. You are seeing who is pitting and who isn't, as the lights very much shining down on a prime time final round of this championship, down to just 20 minutes and 20 seconds left in this one, and 4 still very much to the floor, finding a chance to try and win a title.
A little bit of a T20 going on there, but Adrian Louis can report he was having to serve another slowdown as well. So I wonder if that's a little bit of a hindrance for him at the moment, because the gap between him and Ratcliffe, as you can see on the timing tower, 44 seconds. It'll be touch and go for Lunio as he wants to make that move. We'll have to wait and see. Adekoba, though, he now wants to be a little bit aggressive. And I wonder, how does the man who hasn't been that aggressive this season take on this challenge right now? This is his track, as Braden Hope has to just have a fight there with Perth Sandberg, and Sandberg going on by. But the key is, how does Adekoba make the fight? How does he take the fight here, Jake? This is not a man that has done a lot of attacking this season.
No, but when Ade attacks, he is very decisive in the way that he chooses to do so. And I think that's where Matt Kendall, who has had to be more aggressive over the course of this season, goes back into it. Braden Hope staying close here and looking for the way by Per Sandberg. They've got Jorge Diaz just in front, the Portuguese driver, or Jorge Diaz there just in front. But Sandberg is holding that station, and Braden is doing very well in terms of pace to hold himself steady. I'm more looking at the fact here that if there's continuous slowdown penalties that have to be served by a driver like Adrian Lunio, for example, as Sandberg just batters the curb on the inside, keep an eye out on those low incident points. A 0x over the course of the entire race is 3 championship points. If you get 1 or 2 over the course of the race, it's only +1. Anything else, you get nada.
Yeah, and some of the drivers with such a quiet race today, maybe looking to try and get those points. But if everyone gets a clean race, is it a clean race? Does it help anybody?
Well, if it's clean and everyone's clean, that's fine. If not everyone's clean, there is the gain. And Matt Kendall now back to second. Grosdanic had a little think about making a move and didn't quite get there. But it is El Capitan Fantastico in the net race lead. Still waiting for Adrian Lunio's stop. Lunio dropping 1.4 seconds over the course of that last lap. So Grosdanic here will be sitting in that 4th place going, yeah, there's definitely going to be a podium. It's just a question of whereabouts. And from a driver that's won 3 times this season, at least, you're looking around at Adnan and saying he is absolutely on it. And we talk about it time and again. This is about the driver who thinks their way to a win. If you outthink yourself in this series, it is so easy to do. If you under-prepare for this series, you're going to be done every time on the final lap.
And that's what makes the fact that you have 2 different race formats in the season just very good. You can't prepare for one format. You have to work out, how do you get through the sprint race? How do you get through the feature? Okay, done that, right. Then how do I do an endurance race on 36% fuel tank? That's another challenge I have to do, and that's something that this man has understood right away, and the others were trying to play a little bit of catch-up there with him just to make that move. And I'm looking as well, though, Jake, is the moment Lunio comes into the pit, the lap counter, I think, is going to be 23 laps, not 24. Now comes the question, who's taken too much fuel and who's taken just enough fuel? And I do wonder, because Lunio's gone around once again. How is that man driving this car right now? Is he on vapors?
It's either that, or this is a low fuel intensity circuit. And when I mean that in terms of low fuel intensity, you're looking around this track and you say, well, where is the high-speed element, or what points are we slow? In that final sector of the lap, you're not really at full throttle at any point. You're not going through the gears. You're not burning the fuel up at the high level. And so you're seeing the difference maker that is there. Lunio doing a great job on the fuel. Still there focusing, still trying to make his stint work to his benefit out there, knowing that he's got to make sure that he hits all his marks in the final stages of this race. But those drivers behind, I would keep an eye out on Matt Kendall and why he's happy in second position, because remember, he was the first of anyone to pit, so he's got a good chance to sit back, save a bit of fuel now, and attack Adekoba at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really smart by him. I did think pitting first might have been an issue, but he's actually proving me wrong right now. He's using that to his advantage. Now, I'm looking at those times again. 2:05 last time for Lunio. It's 2:03 for these drivers right here. I wonder if Lunio may have just cost himself a little bit, but we'll wait and see. Is Kendall going to look for a move now? I don't think so, because I reckon Kendall's also trying to make sure he's got extra fuel to attack. It's one thing to have the fuel to get to the end. I wonder, maybe he's just also taking a little bit less fuel, trying to push a little bit hard to try and extend that lead, take that gap where he needed. I wonder now, is this him just making sure he's got the fuel for the end of the race?
Adrian Lunio will now hit pit lane at long last. Watch your markers. Down to 63 kilometers an hour along this incredibly long pit straight and down the boxes, looking for his markers and his men who will go out there and give him the service that is required. And it will be for Lunio the 9th from the end that he jumps down in, and he don't fuel this up with a fuel rig. They use jugs out there to make sure that they get it fueled up. A push then along the main straight by Matt Kendall. He's not going to go for any moves out there at this stage. And Lunio here, who has gone and done the longest of long stints, he's going to come out just behind Michael Chase, which puts him a full 15 seconds clear of Jake Ratcliffe.
That is a drive from Lunio. That is just meticulous out there right now. He is able to just use that gap, work that gap, and just really, he is on his own. So you can almost just basically just hot lap. He was just happy enough to just drive on his own, hot lap that. Didn't need to worry about anyone around him. He just focused on two things, the track and himself. And that's what he's able to do.
Lap 12.
There. And lap 12?
Yeah, lap 12. That'll be why it was going through turn 7 where Jake Ratcliffe had a half spin through the corner that built the gap.
Even still, it's one thing to build the gap though, Jake. He also then had to make sure he got that gap, and he was starting to extend that gap a little bit more. So while Ratcliffe did make the mistake, you look at the lap times between the drivers, Lunio was just basically working to a number, and he's made that work so well. These guys are working to a number. 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think, out there are the numbers.
Yeah, but they all want number 1. So if there is going to be a case of, in your words, Craig, 1 bride and 3 grooms out there at this moment in time, I don't think that works for a wedding out there at the moment. They now watch behind Ade Koba, who is comfortably steering in through the corners. Kendall runs a bit wide through the middle. That's going to open up Adnan Grozdanic with a chance now on the main straight here. They work through New Holland. It's completely flat out through the final corner, and now comes the attack along this stretch. You need to follow in the toe of the car in front, and I think this is attack or be attacked at this moment for Matt Kendall, because he sees the pull alongside and he didn't get out quick enough. He got boxed in, and Adnan's going to go for everything here from 3rd to 1st. Is it going to be through the opening couple of corners? Ade Koba leaves the room, and so now will be the long turn 3 where you're going to have to try and pinch down in as much as possible. I'm not going to let you move. I'm not going to let you move. But then again, if you're still holding side by side through 3, you're going to have to make it happen through 4 on the outside. And again, Ade Koba is going to try and make the Oracle work the long way around. If he still holds the pace around the outside, he has the inside at the more decisive turn number 5 at SEAT. Down the hill to go, and to confirm the position, here comes the up and under back.
I wonder if he does have the room in the upper under as they'll come to TV3 right now. They do have that side by side, but the inside doesn't really work very well here. The outside, that's the faster line. And you can see that Koba's been able to use that to his advantage. Now Grozdanic has to go on the defense as they come to capture. It's a little bit of a half-speed corner here. Have to do a little bit of lifting out to just make sure the car stays happy, keep the balance going. But that mistake there from Grozdanic, it is tough to make a move there. The outside always worked just because of how tight the corner is. He almost made the buy one, get one free work. Could not get it to work. Side by side through Elf, Renault and Repsol. Not where Grozdanic wanted to be. With 10 minutes to go, I think someone's being a little bit impatient out there.
And I think it's Grosdanic. He might buy one, he might get one free. He might buy one, he might get one free, but he won't get one at this moment in time because the offer is closed at this moment in time. So he knows how critical it will be to jump up, gain that time, and it might take a lap or two in this moment of the race to get there. And if they're not being careful about this, they continue scrapping about and doing 2:04s. His name's Giuseppe Milo. He's in 5th place. He's 2 seconds behind them. They've got to play ball or they add more fuel to the fire.
Well, they don't want any more fuel because they've managed to make sure the car is fueled up enough here that they can go to the end. They don't really want to add any more to this battle. So I wonder if this is going to allow Borowski. You could see when they were going side by side, he was looking and thinking, look, can I just try to get in? Can I get a sniff in? Can I, excuse me? No, can't do it. Fair enough. And Grosdanic now is a little bit more on the serious, well, he's always on the serious side. He goes for a late side! That was not expected, and I think he's overcooked it. And he put his hand up straight away. I think he missed his braking point there.
Yeah, that was a pure breaking point that he's gone and sent himself down the inside. Nothing he could do about that except I missed my mark by 5. He would have put the hand up for the tiny tap to the left rear of Ade Koba, but Ade's still got his race in the lead, and you're going to have to do that move all over again, Adnan. And look at the clock, you're down to 9 minutes now at the front of this field, up through Kamsa here and working over toward Lekaitsa at turn number 10. This is where he's going to have to be brave once more, or does he decide to sit back in line? And so with nothing ever easy in a race like this, it's the man with all the experience of this circuit that has control of this race.
And he has controlled the race, and I think we can say that really certain. He hasn't been able to do that all season, but this is the first time he has commanded that lead and commanded the race. So I wonder what Kendall is going to do out there, because I think he may have to run. The key thing here, the last time this move happened, Grosdanic pulled out early to try and make the move and box Kendall, so he had nowhere to go. Kendall needs to make sure that if he's going to look for a move, he has to follow. And a very slight serpentine, call it a diagonal snake here. If Grosdanic wants this, he may have to go 3 wide. He's not. He's going to give a push to Kendall. Kendall almost lost control of the car. They're just going to keep on going, but he still can't clear Grosdanic. He finally clears Koba, and now Kendall is in the lead, and this is something we haven't seen for a while.
But here's the thing, Adnan got such a large run and couldn't get across in time. He has biffed in the front of his Miata once again. Now he'll go for the inside. This is probably more of a legitimate move into Repsol corner, but again, Kendall trying to work the kart line around the outside to make it work. Adnan leads, but remember, he's damaged the front, and now, they're looking everywhere. Is it attack or defend right now for Matt Kendall? He scratches his head, for he does not know. Adnan Grosdanic leads, but he has damage on the front.
He does not know. Does no not he? He don't know. But you can see Grosdanic is pretty happy at the moment. He knows that he can hold that defense. With no offense, Kendall's not an Ade Koba right here. Koba able to make that move of defending around the outside of Repsol work. Kendall has to do a little bit more of learning, but who gets the best run every time when they come out of New Holland? It's Kendall, and I wonder right now, Ade, he's looking for one. This is not a place that you really want to look for a move of how tight it goes and then opens up on the outside. And they're still going to take this side by side as they go up out of Keita. And now I wonder if this is going to help Grosdanic. Grosdanic sees them fighting, sees the happiness in his eyes. But Koba says, I'm going to have to try this again. And a lot of gravel kicked up here at Europe Car.
Yeah, car's gone off then and has brought that back out onto circuit. So that will be a small concern out there that one car has had a bit of a run off through that section. Borowski has stayed ominously quiet on the back of this in fourth. He has let the top 3 in this championship do all of the talking here today, and now moving back across the circuit to avoid Matt Kendall chasing down. 5 minutes 50 on the clock and a wait from Matt Kendall, looking to try and rubber stamp a victory here in the final round of the championship for Season 2 of MX5 United. That's going to be oh, no way, another slowdown for Adnan Grozdanic at the worst possible time. He's got to stay in range now with his gap. He's cleared it, and he's stayed within half a second. That was just slightly too aggressive going in through turn 1.
Yeah, that was sloppy. The first time he got that slowdown at turn 1, you can understand due to the fighting. This was him just trying to gain the advantage, trying to get a good run out of turn 1 into that little left-hander at 2, and it's cost him. And now he's going to have to be a little bit aggressive here, and I don't think there's enough time for him to be aggressive. There's only going to be, what, 3 more laps after this, I think? So what, 2 more laps after this, sorry. So I just think he may have just cost himself the win. Now, I'm looking at Kendall. I'm looking at Koba. I'm looking at these two and thinking maybe it's going to be between those two. And Borowski, out of nowhere, he's in championship. He's in race win contention right now, is that car. But right behind, Grozdanic is going to say, I'm still in this.
He absolutely is. He's still got every chance of everyone else of winning this race, and they will know as well as they're heading to the line, they're going to be down on 2 laps to go here from the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia, here up in the hills and mountains outside of Barcelona in Montemelo in Spain. They know that they only have this time to go in this one. And look at Matt Kendall suddenly pull half a second's worth of gap. Ade Koba's the one looking a little bit fraught on defense here. Look at the try and shake. Here comes Borowski then to the outside. How quickly are you going to make this side-by-side, Matt, as they work through? Does Adnan go for the Uber send into turn number 1? Answers no, but Borowski's left the door half ajar going in through turn 2. Now working to Renault at 3, just not an angle there to make it happen, as you were.
As you were, but I wonder if that Serpentine just caught Borowski out because Grozdanic looked and saw an opportunity, but he was too far away. And he's going to look for another opportunity here as they go into Renault. And once again, Grozdanic looked to this move into this corner. He's going to go side by side. In fact, he's washed out a little bit there. Car's understeered a little bit, so he could not push that move. Borowski's going to get the inside for SEAT. They almost come together once again. Grozdanic's running out of chances here. You start to see he's happy. He's happy. He's a little bit flustered, though, because they're losing out time to the top 2. What does Koba have here? And I think Koba is waiting for the final lap because he had chances to make a move after this straight. He's not been making them, Jake.
No, he's not, and that's quite critical. And on top of that, Craig, I think Adnan was very much saying that was a nice battle with a nice block pass. Here comes the move from Ade Koba straight to the inside. They're going to be 2 by 2 in. Ade's got the lead.
Ade's got the lead, and I'm surprised at that. I thought he'd be waiting. Grozdanic got to P3 as well. He may be looking at the safe style move at the moment, but we wait to see because everything calms down into who gets this chicane right. Because the chicane sets you up for the flat-out New Holland, and you can see they're all bumping up. Grozdanic just hit the rear of Kendall there, losing a bit of grip. That's going to put it right in the back of Borowski. It's going to be 2 cars to the line, and I wonder if they start the final lap. Where's the Serpentine from Koba? Or is he going to say, Matt, you saw me make the move. I'm going to try it even if you go for this. The overspeed is there, but Koba's got the inside.
Yeah, but the inside is great, but you'll have the outside at turn 2. Half a car between them as they pretty much trade paint in towards turn number 1. You didn't need to be a lip reader to understand that Adnan Grozdanic was going, what was that? Going through the final chicane there as he realized that contact was nothing good. Pushing through at turn 3, then it's Matt Kendall. He knows what Ade Koba wants. It's a win to put what has been a tough season for his standards into the rear view mirror. Covers off the defense through turn 4, and they're tripping over each other in this front group. They're looking for a great run off the exit. Ade is all the way over on the left-hand side. Matt Kendall's got to go the long way here into the corner, and he's very quick to cover off any attempts from Grozdanic, who is pretty much nipping at the heels like a Yorkshire Terrier against a postman out there on a morning. But here comes the look into TV3. Now here comes the drive up the hill towards Capsa, and again it's stymied. This is so smart by Ade Koba. He just can't get a run, and it means that Kendall never has a run here. Now it's Grozdanic who's got the best attempt now of a chance, heading to Lekaiksa at turn 10, and Ade Koba's over to the right-hand side, wants nothing of Matt Kendall, sending one down the inside. How late do you dare at this section? He's outdone himself! He's outdone himself! He's going to have to track it, extend his Ade Koba. Matt Kendall to the inside, long way around Bank Sabadell. It's going to have to be. Oh, and they lean on each other right now. The timer about to expire. Everybody to your station. It's about this chicane that's going to tell who's winner, who's loser. Down the inside goes Kendall, and still Ade throws it in. And now here comes the drive. 3 wide to the final corner. Ade, look out. Here comes Adnan Grozdanic from nowhere. Kendall's in the grass. Ade side by side, heading to the line. It's going to be El Capitan. El Capitan Fantastico with a sensational finish to end the year.
0.024 is the gap between Koba and Grozdanic. What a barn burner of the finish. They were tripping over each other. And right behind, we got to give a shout out to Adrian Luino. Wins the amateur battle with just a calculated drive. He gets that victory. And I don't think he realizes he's just absolutely hyper-focused right now. What a drive it's been for him today to take that. But that finish, that all came up to everybody, Jay, just tripping over each feet. And I just wonder, Koba had to make that move in the final part of the chicane to even look for an opportunity. If he didn't, it would have been all for nothing. You got to feel for Matt Kendall, had that chance, just not able to do it at the end.
Story of Matt Kendall's run. He actually finished 5th. Coming over the line, Borowski would take 3rd, and Giuseppe Milo, who was almost 3 seconds back coming onto the final lap, would take 4th coming out of that final corner. So talk about going from 1st to 5th in 1 corner. That's what this series is about. Here comes the Australian Lars Ulrich over towards the line, hopefully having a nice clean run. Well, hello and my fellow drivers. It is going to be a finish there over the line. The message absolutely beautiful then from Lars. Man slow, but it doesn't matter how slow he is. He's over the line and he's done everything that he needs, and he's got a shout out as well to Adnan, of course, and all of the sponsors. So he's getting it all in. He doesn't need an interview, Craig.
He don't need an interview. I'm not going to interview an Aussie anyway. They're going to beat us tonight, so why bother? You know, let them go. Let him have his moment out there, Jake, as an Englishman will say to an Aussie being at that time of the year.
Just 1/4 of a 1/10 of a second is the difference over the line for Ade Koba to take his first win of the season, and by that margin over Adnan Grozdanic. Adrian Borowski would finish off in 3rd ahead of Giuseppe Milo 4th, and Matt Kendall, who went from 1st to 5th on the final corner of the race. It's then Michael Chase in 6th position ahead of Adrian Luino, with Jake Ratcliffe, Per Sandberg and Philip Scriffignano rounding out your top 10. Luino confirming AM honours. Then today is the final 5 cars will be Braden Hope as Jorge Diaz, Lars Ulrich, Charles Wolf and a non-starter today in Henry Mackenzie Friedman would make some incredible running action. Stood by with Craig King right now is your race driver in 2nd position overall, Adnan Grozdanic.
Well, Adnan, you had to do it the hard way. You kind of don't like turn 1, it looks like, out there. Couple mistakes out there. Did that cost you to win, or was that always just going to be a barnstormer of a final lap regardless?
Doesn't cost me the win because it's an endurance race, and yeah, the MX5s are super packed, so it just cost me like 3 positions, which I regained again. So yeah, stupid mistakes. What can I do? I'm a human, not a machine. I
just need to check that. Adnan, are you an AI bot? Yeah, if you see the phone, if you get the phone calls, you know what I mean. We just wait to hear that. But no, he is fine.
Not
One thing I want
confirmed.
to talk about, yeah, not confirmed. One thing I do want to talk about is that pit stop, because we saw it on your face, a little bit of shock there. You came out behind some of the drivers. Was that another mistake, or was that you just not predicting people going with a short stop?
Now, here's the thing. I saw that based off of the pit stop time, I saw that people did not take tires, so I just did the same thing to not be completely out of the safe zone, to not risk anything. However, I have a button bind to toggle the fuel, meaning I don't need to refuel the full amount, and I toggled it twice, which means I refueled the full bottle. So yeah, that's how I lost like 2-3 seconds in the pits. And yeah, but luckily I was close enough to Matt. I think 2.9 seconds, and then Ade came out of the pits and made some trouble. Just battling with Matt, and that gave me an easy slipstream again. So back to business again.
Back to business. They were having a big fight at the end, and at the end, 0.024 behind Ade Koba. Yeah, I know. Were you expecting that? Because it looked like fireworks on that final lap.
Yeah, what a nice last lap. That was, I did not plan that, but it happened. I had a lot of rear wheel spin on the exit of the second last corner out of the Moto chicane. And yeah, that did not give me enough traction. However, I actually thought, and you could see me cheering and screaming in the stream, I was thinking I was ahead, but the line is way further ahead. So yeah, congrats to Ade for the win. That was a fun race.
Fun race as well indeed. Adnan, before we let you go, championship over. What are your plans for next season? Another victory, another championship, or do you think it's going to be a hot competition?
As a racing driver, you always want to win, right? So there's going to be a season 3, and you're going to see my name again up there. So that is definitely my goal. I just want to share a couple of words, if you allow me to. I want to thank every MX5 United driver that showed up, that raced hard and fair, pushed the level week after week, especially the AM drivers. Lovely to see them grow throughout the championship. Thank you for everyone who helped as well. Behind the scene work really matters. So from the organization point of view, from the calm heads, from problem solving heads, and a big thanks to the live stewards. Clear decisions, fast reaction times, and throughout the whole season, absolute consistency. You protected racing quality and trust. And a big shout out to the sponsors who backed this vision, who backed this league: Wasabi Racing, PJ's Banana, 371 Competition, Mike's, Grid and Go, David Turan, Raimi Talents, Lars Bar. Your support is phenomenal. And GSRC, really thank you for this phenomenal broadcasting from a commentator's perspective, from a organization perspective, behind the scene, but also from the camera perspective. That was astonishing. And yeah, last sentence. Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know. With that being said, I'm out.
Oh, he is going to leave. And in fact, there he goes. He's gone. He is gone. Adnan Grosdanic, P2 today, the championship winner. And he's not going to hear us, but a thank you for the massive compliments he has given. Jake, I'm going to hand it to the professional. You have got the winner of the amateurs.
Well, Adrian Lunio here with us now. And Adrian, you've had a bit of time to let this one sink in for you on what has been a season where it's not really been a case of any one driver standing up and saying it's been difficult. You and Jake have been going at it pretty much nose to tail the entire season long. A day like this, a best result of the season for you. You couldn't have asked for much better.
Yeah, it was a really good season, but to be honest, my last race, I was not. I could have been quicker.
Oh, so left a little bit on the table, but trying to make sure
Yeah.
all the points were there and sorted. Just talk us through what it's meant over the season. We've seen all sorts of reactions from you from when it wasn't going well for you in the middle, where you had a few scraps about with a couple of people, over up to this point now. What was the tipping point for you in this season that set you on track for the Amateur Championship?
Can you use another word? For what is tipping?
As in, what was the moment that turned the season around?
Oh, probably the last race. I got a bit of coaching with Dario, and then for no reason I was way quicker. Like for this race, to be, for example, I was way faster than Jake, except in this race where I was slow. But yeah, I don't really know what to say.
Well, you've got the championship. You are now amateur category champion. Are you hoping for promotion to pro next season, or are you looking to try and hope to stay in the amateur division and get a second amateur title?
I mean, I should go in pro because I'm fast now and I know the car. And yeah, there's no point to go in AM to win again, so let's go in pro.
Well, one final question here, Adrian. How do you plan on celebrating?
Oh, I will just take a shower because I need it. And that's it.
Victory showers all round then for Adrian Lunio, who joins us today and has won the amateur category out there very, very quickly. We're going to get a chance to chat with Michael Chase out there, who has helped to sponsor a season like this one, but also has been out there over the course of this season trying to race a P6 today. Let's talk about the racing first and foremost, though, for you, Michael, because it got a little bit lonely for you at the end.
Yeah, I picked up a slowdown in the second lap, I think, and so just had to, I don't know, try something different, pit early, but I just didn't have I don't think I really had the pace to make up for it. So that's okay. It's a lovely track, so I just managed to stay ahead of Adrian. Congrats to him, by the way. So I'm happy with it.
So, Michael, in terms of looking at this season and putting yourself in from a sponsorship perspective, how critical is it to have a thriving MX-5 scene here in iRacing, especially when you consider that this is the car that pretty much almost every sim racer of a certain generation has had the ability to learn and understand and get to grips with?
Well, I personally, find it to be the best car to drive in this situation and organized leagues, especially. The community is good. The drivers that show up every race, I just really appreciate them for that. So as a sponsor, I'm hoping, so we're cooking. We're looking to get going for another season and keep growing this thing. And thank you guys for your partnership this season. The broadcasts were great. I especially like the camera work and the final lap calls. So you've all done a great job with that.
So with one season left then sorted, and now season 3 on the horizon, just from what you are looking at here, what are you looking at for next season? Are you hoping to bring more drivers in for an opportunity to go out there and race? Are you looking to consolidate the pace of what you've got? Are you looking for this league to basically give a much bigger battleground than what it is? Because it looked like from the start of the season, you could have had any one of 10 drivers to come away with a championship, and ultimately it sort of devolved into, okay, well, it's 5, it's 3, it's 2. Are you looking for more of that sort of big battle that there's more unpredictability?
Oh, certainly. We've got some ideas on that. I think it's normal for, a little bit of, entrances, a little bit of drivers not making all the races as it progresses. That's a fairly normal league thing, but I think we're going to try to take a run at improving that. And but that said, I think it was a great success this season. So well done to everyone involved.
Michael Chase there joining us with a P6 finish today, and as part of the team that has brought this season over to you here on the Global Sim Racing channel. That will bring proceedings to a close here today from the circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia, and for 2025 action with MX5 United, but not for those who are looking for racing action with the Global Sim Racing channel, because we've got a super weekend's worth of racing that starts not on the weekend, but on Thursday. What a way to start your season off with the Nordschleife then for the Skip Barber Race Series. That'll be coming to you from about 6:15 UTC, 1:15 Eastern for that. And then it is getting very busy with the Classics Trio. Willow Springs to start for the Grand Prix Legends on Saturday. Then later on at 5 o'clock, IMSA Vintage will be heading back to the Nordschleife for more racing action. And then it is a very famous lady over with the Classic Lotus Grand Prix. They will head to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca to kick-start their season off just 4 days before Christmas with the Winter Solstice race on the 21st. From everyone who has been here today, from Craig King alongside me, from Christian Deploy behind the director's chair, from Dougie Beard, who has been working on the camera packs for us, and of course from Joe Peak over the course of this season, who has stepped in both mine and Craig's absence over the course of this season. What a way to end off the season with MX5 United. They chucked what they could at the wall and hoped that it was going to stick. 3 wide at the final corner to try and decide a race. It's all championships done and dusted now, though, with Adnan Grozdanic and also with Adrian Luño picking up the honours. But there's one thing to get on the honours board. There's one thing to say, I've got momentum heading to season 3. There's simply no other way of saying it. On home soil, the day belonged to El Capitan Fantastico. We'll see you in 2026 with season number 3 of MX5 United.
This is iRacing.
Three, four, 5 wide. Turn number 1. Trouble for Borowski, and they scatter. Carl made a massive chuck one to the inside. 3 wide. Train going all the way back to Felix Cristiano.
Morton, Forman, and category.
Elijah White. Kachow. He's got the plate. Goes Adek over. Made down Matt Hendel. So Adnan Grozdanic